Hi everyone, my name is Bradleymayerharman. This is the Mayer-Harman Team video blog. Last month we talked about the economy and the 2018 real estate market. This month we're talking about weed. So let's get started. Not sure if you've been up to date with what's been going on lately, but there's been a lot. And you know what? With the federal government talking about legalizing recreational marijuana, this is a huge development, especially when it comes to real estate. And so we'll get into that as we get through this blog. So the status of cannabis laws in Canada, well, it's an inevitability. The Canadian government has already said that this is what they're going to do. They've had public consultations, and you know what? Justin Trudeau came in on the platform of legalizing marijuana, so he's following through on that, whether you like it or not. And at this point, we have to really decide, how are we going to react? What are some of the consequences of it? And that's what this video is for. So we'll start off with basically going through the basics. Legalization of marijuana is actually something that's largely supported by Canadians for a variety of reasons, some of which include trying to reduce the illegal component of it and the black market, having criminals gaining income as a result of sales of marijuana. It's one of the largest revenue streams for drug dealers, and then that's the argument is that leads into harder, more dangerous substances. And certainly there's the recreational component. A lot of people prefer marijuana over alcohol, or maybe they like both and they don't see the harm in it. Overall, Canadian sentiment about the dangers of marijuana has been reduced. There's edibles now, there's vaporizers. It's a trend that's growing. And certainly, this is one of the reasons why it's becoming legal, is because Canadians are becoming more desensitized to the dangers of it. So after much debate, Canada is making weed legal, and it's going to be this year. So 2018 is the year the federal government is legalizing recreational marijuana. It's official. They're going to legalize it. And now it's a matter of what we're going to do about it. So obviously here they've had marijuana being legal for quite some time already, but on the medicinal front, and again, now this is recreationally legal. So that's called Bill C-45, and where are we so far? So far what we've gotten as far as the cannabis legalization, the facts that we've received from the Canadian government and the website you can find online, is that the minimum age is going to be 19 and older if you want to buy, use, or possess recreational cannabis. This is the same age as tobacco and alcohol. In addition to that, there's specific details and rules regarding the use of marijuana. It's currently established that it's only in private residences that you can actually consume marijuana. So, for instance, obviously inside of a home, a condominium, and there are some, additional details that need to be addressed with that. But of course, this could also mean, as far as private residence, it can be in your backyard, it can be in a balcony, it can be on your patio, so long as it's on private property and the owners are consenting to it. So in addition to that, you'll still not be able to use recreational cannabis, especially when it comes to motorized vehicles. It's exceptionally important that everyone understands this, and the police have a very difficult task in enforcing it, because weed's not as simple as alcohol when it comes to determining whether someone's over or whether they are under the influence enough that it's dangerous, right? So obviously avoid it altogether. There are fines associated with consuming marijuana publicly in public places, up from $1,000 for their first offense up to $5,000. Workplaces are obviously a no-no. Where can you purchase marijuana? Well, marijuana can be purchased from the Ontario Cannabis Store, according to the Ontario website. They will sell marijuana online and delivered straight to your home, as they say, safely and securely. You can purchase up to 30 grams of marijuana, about an ounce at a time, only for personal use, and it can only be bought through the government's distribution network, and not through any private corporations as of yet. So why is this relevant to real estate? Again, this is a real estate video, so let's get into the specifics. So the reason weed becoming legal and recreational is important for real estate is because it can now be grown at your house. And with houses being, places that can be bought and sold, it's important that we know what happened. And in the past with grow ops, which we'll get into as we move on to this, move further, grow ops have a huge impact on real estate market values. So as far as the legislation's concerned, they're saying that 4 plants can be produced per residence, not per person, but per residence. And you can purchase those seeds from the Ontario store as well as the marijuana. So obviously this is a big issue. I've included a picture of a condominium. Imagine 4 plants per unit in a condominium building. That is a massive amount of electricity and vegetation. So we'll get into the details of there. So why is growing pot at home even an issue? Well, for the basics is that marijuana is it's a plant that is largely used to produce a substance where you can smoke or ingest or inhale through vaporizer. But during the growing process, a lot of times, people use lamps, they'll use water filtration systems, and that humidity and the electricity creates issues and can result in damage of property and stigma. So obviously here you can see a unique setup. This is a modern version of growing marijuana in someone's house. You might see this sometime in the near future. And obviously it's kind of like a zipper thing, so it can maybe withhold some of the smell. This guy here is, kind of starting it out pretty simple. He's drying out his marijuana in a closet. This is kind of the new kind of sales pitch you'll probably see in the future. And then this is someone just growing it in the basement of their home. So there's a bunch of reasons why this is an issue. For starters, the smell. You've got the humidity. You've got the electricity. Here's some pictures of some damage associated with growing marijuana. In this particular instance, I thought this picture was quite funny because in the winter they're growing weed and the heat is keeping the snow off the roof, and obviously these guys are just being caught. But also some of the other major reasons are for landlords and tenants. Can I grow marijuana in my rental? As a landlord, do I want my tenants growing marijuana in my home? So let's move on to the Ontario Real Estate Association. They've come up with a website specific to these concerns for consumers because, again, we need to protect consumers and we need to make sure that the legislation coming forward is going to be geared in a manner that can protect people from concerns associated with growing marijuana in homes. So give me a moment. I'm going to get you over to that site. Before I do that, actually, I'll guide you to this site, ontario.ca page, Canibus Legalization. You can get into here and you can look specifically at the minimum age, where to use it, driving considerations, where to buy it, and so on. So a lot of the important aspects that need to be addressed. But more importantly, I want to get into what the Ontario Real Estate Association has put together. A nice little video that showcases some of the concerns that are going to be important for us to consider. So, awesome. So that's the video that AREA came out with. It's also got the take action component. You can see some of the information they provided online. Very informative. They've got a 5-point plan that we're going to touch on shortly. Some of the health and safety issues as well. If you go to the website, you'll see the legal versus illegal argument. Also, here's some pretty good information I want to touch on quickly. Some of the impacts of having a grow op in a house. For starters, the brickwork in the exterior of the home might need to be replaced. Cord foundations, as you can see here, they would use that to bring in electricity. A lot of this also has to do with humidity. So ductwork might be used to provide ventilation for the marijuana growth, circular holes through joists in the floors, brown stains as a result of external venting problems, the stains on the basement floors if it's grown in the basement, plumbing issues, warped wood as a result of, and then of course electrical, the wiring will have a huge impact on the home, and obviously the ability for you to buy, sell it, and also for health reasons. So moving on, the executive summary in essence addresses these concerns, and we want to make sure that the legal framework is in place for home inspectors and other people in order to properly serve consumers when it comes to the dangers of legalized grow-ops. So moving on to the 5-point plan. So first, REA wants to designate legal grow operations as unsafe. They want to inspect former illegal grow operations to make sure that they have been remediated correctly. Registration of former grow operations so consumers have a choice as to whether or not they want to purchase the property and not be tricked into buying a property that may have been remediated but may still have a stigma according to that purchaser. And mandatory training for home inspectors. We want home inspectors to be prepared for this change, and certainly we want to make sure that consumers are protected when we do put the home inspection condition in an offer. Reduction in plans for multi-unit dwellings. That's a big one because certainly you don't want to have every unit in a condo complex or in an apartment building reeking of marijuana and having the one person who doesn't want to smoke it or smell it being forced to do so. So how can you do to protect yourself? Well, obviously speak to your real estate agent. They're going to be trained to be able to protect you and ensure that you have the proper conditions and inspections required to make sure it's safe. So thank you very much for watching this video on marijuana growth and the legalization coming this year in 2018. If you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll see you next time. All the best. Bye for now.